This is our reading for this morning. Hannah Brencher says, "Years ago, I came across a concept called molting, a fascinating biological process by which birds shed old feathers to grow new ones. Over the seasons, their feathers become worn out and tarnished, so they shed the old in preparation for a new coat, more durable feathers, and the ability to keep flying. When I would pick a feather up off the ground, I used to think it was a bird losing a part of itself. It turns out that the shedding is a surrender, already hardwired into their system. Now when I see a feather, it's a reminder that we all lose beautiful things. It's a necessary part of the life cycle. What a redemptive idea that the old and no longer usable would fall off to make room for something new, something coming up ahead. Something new suddenly has room to sprout and to grow. Birds will lose their feathers. It is inevitable that what is no longer for them will be released through flight. But we humans have a great propensity to hold on past an expiration date. And so maybe that's the invitation, that we learn to release what is no longer for us, not standing still, but moving forward in flight. In some cases, when a molt is intense, a bird might temporarily lose its ability to fly. It is grounded for a little while, but the grounding isn't permanent. It's a requirement for the new flight ahead. If you feel grounded right now, take heart, as this isn't forever. This isn't going to be your story for good. You might just be going through the molting, losing what you need to lose to become who you have most needed to become. So we shed. We are forced to let go. We sometimes might feel a little grounded, but the little bird in us knows with great assurance that this isn't forever. This is just a season. And here ends our reading.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Good morning. It is a joy to be among you. I am the Reverend Edith A. Love. It is my great honor and privilege to be with you this morning. I have been assisting people with uncluttering, also known as grief cleaning, for almost 6 years at this point. Downsizing, reducing possessions, you get the idea. I'll be sharing, I'll be sharing some of what I've learned along this journey as we speak. To start with, many of us feel overwhelmed these days. We feel overwhelmed by life. We feel overwhelmed by our task list. We feel overwhelmed by current events in the state of our nation and the world. We might feel overwhelmed by racism and homophobia, transphobia, sexism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, ableism, ageism. The list could go on and on and on. It is overwhelming. There are all kinds of hatreds and prejudices and evils that weigh us down. And so when we feel this overwhelm in our personal lives or in the world at large, I think one of the first places it shows up is in our physical surroundings. Since I'm known to assist with grief clearing, people reach out to me when they've had a divorce or a new health diagnosis, a job loss, someone passing away, either recently or in the distant past. Some losses we never get over, we simply grow around the loss. There are always good reasons why those who seek my help are struggling. Their overwhelm manifests in a mountain of laundry. I have one of those. Or a pile of boxes, or closets full of things, crammed full of memories that you just can't bear to face. Or whole rooms devoted to decisions delayed, such as, I'll deal with that later, and somehow later just doesn't come. Or the deferred decisions can add up to a doom box or an entire room of doom that you just don't go in anymore. And you might say things like, well, I need to return that thing, I need to mail that thing, I need to send those off to be donated, I need to have that thing altered. You can have a long list. I might need that someday. How many times have we heard that one? Well, somebody gave it to me, I can't let it go. What if they came to see me and it wasn't there? Yes, what if they did? But meanwhile, you're living with it all the time. There are always, always, always emotional reasons why we can't face whatever it is. I've worked with clients as young as 10 years old. Of course, her mother hired me, but she was in the room by herself making decisions. And in that specific case, God forgive me for naming this, she had decided to pile all her clothes in the bottom of her closet. She would try it on, throw it in the pile, try it on, throw it in the pile, and then a pet added to the chaos. I'm sure if you use your imagination, you know what I mean. I've worked with people in their middle ages, all the way up into their 80s and 90s, who are downsizing their possessions and looking towards the end of their time on earth. I've been called to assist with a slightly dusty office where the person said, oh, it's a disaster. And I walked in and I thought, doesn't seem so bad to me. But she wanted help. She genuinely needed me to be there. And I've been all the way up into full-on hoarding situations where there was not even a path. And in all of these scenarios, I think the heart of what keeps popping up over and over again is that people are just not able to deal with the overwhelm, whatever it is, without emotional support. As a Unitarian Universalist minister, I have skills to be able to ask gently probing questions and sit with people and hold emotional space for them. As I gently inquire and they feel their feelings and we talk through what's going on, it is only then that we're able to deal with whatever the stuck is. And I would love to be able to show you before and after pictures, but most of the people I work with have a lot of shame around the feelings that I can't face it, I can't deal with it, so I don't even ask anymore. No point. So any before and after you see out on the internet might be my house. So I don't ask, but I've lost place in my script at this point. It's not even about the before and after, though. This is a deeply emotional process with physical results. And so visuals are important, but they don't tell the full story. To give you a small example, someone reached out to me to ask for a session clearing out the bedroom. I walked in, I greeted them, I was shown the room, and I looked around and I thought, well, it looks like a fairly ordinary bedroom, I don't see the problem, and then lifted the bed skirt. Crammed full, not a square inch left of boxes that were dusty and hadn't been touched in 7 years since the divorce. This person told me, I can't sleep in there, I haven't slept in there in 7 years. So, we lifted the bed skirt, we pulled the boxes out, and they told me stories associated with the things inside of them as they cried. Told me all about the ex. They're still close to them. They worked through all those feelings. At the end of those 2 hours, the emotions were lighter. The room was clearer. It was unburdened. I loaded up the donations to take them away. They hugged me and said I had changed how they felt in their home. But that's not me. They're doing the work. I'm just support. Whenever they call upon me, I think that's what it's really all about. Anyone, not just me, anyone. It's the act of witnessing and holding space for someone as they turn to face what they couldn't face alone. Things they'd been avoiding. Feeling emotionally supported as you face something that overwhelmed you makes all the difference. That's the magic. That's how we can love each other through painful transitions in our lives. And sometimes those transitions take a long time. In the reading you just heard, the author talks about a necessary letting go, a time when we shed things that no longer serve us to make room for something new. Perhaps there's been a time in your life where you had a slowly dawning realization that it was time to begin to let go of something. Could be a thing, could be a job, could be a relationship, could be a habit, could be a way of life, could be an addiction. It could be a perspective. And sometimes it's not slowly dawning. Sometimes it hits you all of a sudden like a lightning bolt, and you're like, oh, there it is. There it is. Now is the time. And sometimes we have to reason with ourselves and wrestle with something for a little or a long time before we feel ready. And that's okay too. It might take a lot of time to figure out how to let go of something. It may not be easy. It may feel overwhelmingly difficult. It might be a series of decisions that leads you to an inevitability that in retrospect you can see it was always there, but the journey there was tough. However we get there in life, there will always be necessary losses. None of us come into this world and leave it unscathed. Not one of us. We will lose people we love. We will lose places we love. We will lose relationships. We'll lose objects. We'll lose a time in our lives that will never come again, an event we'll never see again, and it's okay. It is okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to let yourself feel the loss. It really is okay. And it's good. It's good because in the mourning and the grieving and the letting go, we are, as in the reading we heard, making space for new feathers to sprout, for new ways of being we can't see yet. And we might not know what it is, we might not know when it is, but we are making room, because one thing that's certain is that life has changed. We can't hold it tightly in our hands any more than we could hold a fistful of sand and expect some of it not to fall through our fingers. And as the proverb says, you can never step in the same river twice. Life itself has changed. Life goes on, and we'll never experience the same thing exactly the same way more than once, no matter how much we wish we could. The immediate moment truly is all that we ever have. I believe one of the greatest privileges in ministry or in life itself is being present with people emotionally as they're going through something hard, supporting people in the most intimate decisions that they have to make, holding people as they figure out, how do I let go? What do I get to keep? One of the most tender parts of being a human in this world is figuring out how we deal with the inevitable changes in our lives, from birth to death, because you know they're coming. Each and every one of us will go through tremendous change across our lifetimes. All these precious little beings down here are going to face some hard stuff, and we know that because we've been there. And need I remind you, none of us know how long we have. My little girl, my youngest, is 10, and she said to me the other day, how can babies die? And I explained, sometimes it just happens that way, honey. We don't know. None of us know how long we have. What a hard thing to figure out when you're little, you know? We might plan for or eagerly anticipate events, happenings, sequences in our lives, but none of us know how long our days are upon this earth. And so every moment, we're alive right now. We're alive right now. Every moment is another chance to get it right, to try again, to do it better, to apologize, to make amends, to say, I forgive you. I love you. These are things we can do because we're still breathing and we're still vertical. And that is a gift. Regardless whether embracing the new, releasing the old, or somewhere in between, it's all a gift. Life could be easy, it can be hard, it could go all too fast or excruciatingly slow. It can be joyful and mournful and everything in between, and every bit of it, what a precious, precious opportunity we have to keep on trying, to get things right this time, to try again. And we might think we could stop time by holding on to the drawings that our child made when they were little, or the clothes we wore when we were in high school, or the special thing that we had from our wedding. And it's true, you can hang on to anything you want. I told my daughter recently, you could have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, I remember a comedian from when I was a teenager who used to say, you can't have everything you wanted. If you did, where would you put it? Some of us might feel as if we could store time, to save time, to put memories into objects, to freeze things in place. But time goes on whether we like it or not. As Dolly Parton's character Truvy in Steel Magnolias said, time marches on, and eventually you realize it's marching right over your face. If only we could unclutter the wrinkles. But the thing is, that's what makes a face interesting. Flawless faces with no wrinkles, no marks, no scars, model perfect, are not nearly as interesting as a face that life itself has marked and changed. And so it is with us as human beings. Our all too human weaknesses, like holding on to things or relationships or the past, that's part of what makes us beautiful. It does. It's human to hold on, and it's profoundly human to figure out how to let it go. So what I'm trying to convey is we can learn to let go even though it hurts, even though it's hard. It's not wrong to hold on past the expiration date, but it does delay the inevitable, because eventually we're going to leave behind even the bodies we inhabit. And it stinks. Mortality stinks, and I hate it. And that's what makes this so valuable. If we lived for eternity like a vampire, we wouldn't appreciate our time. We can appreciate it because it's precious and it's expendable. One of my favorite quotes is by author Mary Anton, and she says this: "We are not born all at once, but by bits, the body first and the spirit later. And the birth and growth of the spirit in those who are attentive to their own inner life are slow and exceedingly painful. Our mothers are racked with the pains of our physical birth. We ourselves suffer the longer pains of our spiritual growth." So my thesis for you today is this: learning how to let go of objects, the past, relationships, pain we're holding on to, dreams we held, selves that we used to be or could have been. All of it is the path of healing if we choose that. Learning how to feel the feelings that we're afraid to feel, the feelings that we cling on to too long. Facing our feelings, feeling our feelings, releasing our feelings. This is the essential work of being human. And learning how to let go is the path of spiritual growth, and it hurts. I'll say that again. We are letting go, we are growing, and sometimes it hurts because growth is often painful. I could spend a lot of time today going over tips and tricks that I use to help people let go, but I think you'd probably get a little bored with that. Things like, well, turn the hangers backward and see if you've used it in a year, or put it in a box in the attic and see if you missed it after 6 months, or, do you really need this? How much room do you have in your drawer? I've got all of that, but that's not what I'm here to tell you about today. I am merely a guide, a cheerleader, and a witness. The deep work is both quieter, it is internal in each of us, and it is external in relationship with someone who can support you through it if you can't do it alone, which most of us can't and shouldn't. So I like to ask myself, what is the wisest, highest, most secure self that I can imagine, and what would she suggest to me in this moment? You might call upon your ancestors, or speak to God, or look towards another method entirely, that whole does it spark joy thing, for what it's worth. I think the method is fairly irrelevant. What's essential is, are we feeling our feelings or are we avoiding them? And if we're avoiding them, that's fine. Take all the time you need, but know that you can do it when you're ready. And you do not have to do it alone. We are created for attachment, for community. From the very beginning of our lives, we are created to attach to other humans. If babies don't get nurturing and attachment, they die. And we are no different. We are still babies inside. Some part of us is still a child. And we need to have connection with other humans. No one can live without other people. No one. We are made for intimate partnership, for closeness with other human beings. This closeness is what is key to healing ourselves and we aren't meant to go through life entirely on our own. As the song says, we need each other to survive. So reach out for support. Congregations, just like this one, are support. Families can be support. One true good friend is support. Talk to your pastor, your therapist, your sibling. I called my sister yesterday. A beloved mentor. Reach out to someone because you are strong enough. You can do this. And we are stronger when we attune to each other in love and support. I know that you can do this. I know that we can do this. So this week and every week, may you find your way through the wild and woolly path of releasing and letting go. And when the time is right, with spiritual support by your side. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.